Mad Lions Koi clocking with the fastest victory at Worlds 2024 as you're taking a look at the Levi caster booth, the entire Mad Lions Koi troop, who cannot seem to believe it themselves. But I mean, I will say it's awesome, obviously, because I'm from Europe. Not as awesome, though, for GAM, unfortunately, and quite surprising.
Yeah, apparently it was the 9th fastest in World history.
What?
I just heard.
There's been a lot of World
That's
games.
almost more impressive than fastest this World, but it actually does. Makes sense.
I like fastest this World, you know, because MDK or Mad Lions, you know, they're known for fastest game in a different direction.
Oh, you did
so
not.
So this is like retaking control, you know, retake the meme.
Retake the narrative. I like it. We were talking so much about kind of the coach Melzet and the way he talked about the draft, and you said, Jat, well, yeah, you made the car analogy.
Funny.
Does it continue?
It is pretty funny. They were saying it's not the only issue, but like, upgrading your car is still going to help your driving ability.
Yeah.
I will say this. So having the
swap
Yone and
out?
Maokai themselves was pretty helpful.
So similar to the way that the draft wasn't the whole problem previously, draft wasn't the whole solution, but it was a big part of the solution. And Yone was at the core of it. This is the #1, you know, sin that we mentioned at the beginning of the day, was giving away Yone in draft. And obviously it was huge there, but they also got to pair it, like you're saying, with the big AoE from Maokai, with the big priority pick that Ziggs is as well. And this was full meta from MDK, and it was beautiful.
And I will also say, GAM did not cook with their draft.
No.
I don't exactly, they have all these flanking champions and then like a random smolder top. That's not going to work.
So I will say, at least Kiaya was one of the really early adopters of top smolder. Even in spring, he was playing top smolder. So that's, you know, the angle, but I completely agree as far as the draft overall, and even the execution in game, even though he got that one solo kill into execution for himself. It was definitely a very rough look for GAMs. I would say they probably won't make similar mistakes here in game #2, but this was not close. This was a complete blasting.
Yeah, it was. And thanks, I guess, partly to that first pick and for our HyperX Reflex replay, we're just going to watch this Yone cook because he was unleashed and he leashed back. And he jumped back and he jumped forward. And
he did Yone
I see what
things.
you did there.
I mean, this individual performance was one of probably the best game Fresskowy's had at this entire World Championship. I can't believe, if I'm thinking about, I'm very selfish here, my crystal ball pick'ems, I never put Yone for highest win rate because I never thought you could have a champion with that win rate that just continues to be let into the game.
it's crazy.
And I would also note that in a lot of these replays that you're seeing on your screen, there's another character here that is very frequent.
Really?
Yeah, Shox, maybe your favorite player on the team. Huh?
This game, Alvaro. In fact, we were talking about this, and very early on I said, gents, should we create some kind of a role to highlight how well Alvaro is doing? And you said he hasn't shown us anything yet.
Kobe was very anti-Alvaro this entire time.
You are literally lying right
I was
now.
talking about how good he was. And then Kobe's like, no, I only want to see Yone.
Yeah. He's like, supports don't matter. I hate them, actually. Those were his exact words.
He did say that.
What the heck? What are you doing right now? Character assassination!
We overpowered Kobe, and we're going to show you the good Nautilus plays.
Yeah, come on.
Alvaro.
You can tell me this isn't good.
No, I never said it wasn't
good. Yeah, like, oh, he's just flashing over wall. Anyone could do that, he said.
I do it every day.
Yeah.
Not.
Man, he has been so good for this team, though, and especially just all worlds. You know, we mentioned at the very beginning, but, you know, getting them their wins very early on in play-ins and being such a consistent performer and playmaker for them. Just look really good once again here for MDK.
Yeah, it's interesting. We'll head into game 2. I was looking at, of course, GAM played in the Swiss stage. They played Fnatic and FlyQuest, right? And they didn't manage to win those 2 games. So you could say for MDK it would be on par if they win, but I feel like it should be closer because I expect more from GAM when they play at their peak.
Well, this is interesting, too, because I asked you right before we went live, Shox, of like, if you were surprised. And I said I wasn't, and you said you were, but I think it's the mental game as well.
Yeah.
For MDK and even for GAM, because, like I said, last year we saw GAM knock Team Liquid out in this exact match when they were both 0-2. And we've seen teams at Worlds, if we're looking at MDK shoes, when they go down 0-2, they receive a massive amount of community criticism during the tournament as well as before the tournament. It is easy to self-combust come out on stage and actually prove everybody right, even though they weren't right in the first place.
It's a good point, and you talked so much about kind of how the meta is and how it comes down to your bot lane being very proficient just because of the lane swaps, right? But do you think that if that smolder top is not present and we see something there that can at least have a little bit more help or pressure, this is a different story, or does it not change?
I think Yone would also have to be not present.
Yes, of course.
And
that's a given.
And that would help
given.
too. But once again, you know, the lane swap is a big topic that we talked about in this matchup too. Yeah. And, you know, that could be repeated with very different drafts anyway.
Okay. I think GAM definitely have to make sure that Mad Lions Koi don't get off to as good of a start because that snowball, it was rolling down that hill and nobody could stop it. No. But I wonder what our casters think about this game too.
Welcome back, everybody. It's time for game number 2 here in MDK versus GAM for an opportunity to still stay in the competition here at Worlds 2024. We have been informed that GAM has substituted out their strategic coach for this second game.
Yeah, and I think that's a really smart move after leaving Yone up on red side.
Oh, no. It's the Yone rule. It's the Yone rule. He's too good, man. He's too good in this tournament. But we were talking about it backstage between the games. Honestly, it wasn't just a Yone diff in game number 1. It's not like you can just look at it and say, yeah, they lost because Yone. MDK just played better start to finish.
Exactly. You know, I do think Yone can't be left open, but at the same time, MDK just played the map so incredibly well. I thought they played through sides, especially really, really well. Setting up for Supa, who was playing through mid lane. He'd rotate to a side. They'd land Nautilus CC or Maokai CC. Ziggs ult comes in, free kill, or forcing summoners, forcing cooldowns, gaining yourselves objectives, slowly pushing the game forward and forward and forward until GAM felt they had no choice but to force a fight, which MDK outplay in. They win that fight, game over.
But it's such a different look from MDK, because traditionally you'd be like, oh, we're looking for skirmishes, we're looking for fights, we're going to try and play that style. But
Yone
instead, they just play for these side lanes. It's great.
Okay.
But Yone open, and immediately he was going to take that.
It keeps happening.
I think it's really shocking. I mean, it's one of those things that it's interesting. I mean, clearly in scrims, people are being able to have answers to it, right? And there is a little bit of a trade this time, at least, because Rumble is open. So those are 2 of the most successful champs so far here at Worlds, it feels like. But if Yone is to win, you know, the MDK fans definitely not going to be happy if this goes through.
All right, so let's just go ahead, track our bans. Since Yone did get through, it is the Skarner, Nidalee, and Ziggs banned out by GAM, Poppy, Aurora, Shyvana banned out by MDK.
But that's the thing, with Ziggs now gone, you've gotten, unless you want to go for a Xayah pick here, I was going to say there's very little AP options, and it is going to actually just be the Kennenn that they're going to go for in that top side. So at least facilitating that. Curious now to see how much damage this is going to do and how many exhausts we have in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I was just literally about to say, exhaust is so incredibly important here, I think, against the Kennenn. It's the easiest to exhaust the ultimate, feels like, in the entire game, and one that is most required.
So, once again, similar to game number 1, I am seeing 3 mega dive champions for GAM in the first half
Honestly,
of the draft.
For both sides, it feels like. Yeah, you know, we got Vi Ahri on the other side. That's all about zeroing out these champions. And the question is Yone a good enough target for that? And, you know, if not, then I was going to say, you know, MDK need to ban out the most safe AD carries, right? So I think banning out Ezreal, that's kind of the #1 safest AD you can play. You want someone that you can jump on. You really want EasyLove on like Ashe or Jhin if you can force them into those kind of situations where you can just get freebie kills over and over and over. Vial, Equalizer, Ariel, dead.
I'm still mostly looking. If GAM wants to do this super dive type of composition, I want to see it be fully coherent compared to game number 1, where the Smolder just felt like, I forgot that Smolder was in the game, you know? So I want to see how this draft gets rounded out for them, and also what MDK is going to do to continue to work with this Vi and this Ahri, this pick potential here. We do have the Ashe and the Ezreal banned out. Kalista also banned out. It's 3 for 3 marksman bans in the second half of the draft.
Yeah, I think it now comes down to, do MDK just want to try and take the Xayah? Because I agree with Xayah, where I think Ashe is kind of something you want the enemy side to take. Okay, they're not going to. I think Xayah, though, kind of has a lot of the options to facilitate that dive. Can also, like, say, the Kennenn gets good access to the backline, can immediately go, but EasyLove doesn't want to go back towards it.
I mean, this would be kind of like another option. Obviously, not that safe, but at the same time, you know, you can kind of follow up on that dive with the bullet time pretty well. They don't have like a tremendous amount of CC, but obviously you have the knockup from the Wukong, follow-up knockouts potentially there from the Yone. Stuns could be coming through as well from Kennenn, and you still have your support to pick, who's going to be potentially bringing a lot of that lockdown. And since there's so many AD bans, like all the primo supports are really still available. So to me, I think a Rell would be the #1 pick I would be wanting to go here.
The only thing I was going to say is maybe you take Leona to deny the solar flare from answering the MF ult, but they're going to go for the Rell instead. So maybe Alvaro wants to go towards his Alistar, which was banned away in the last game, but I think Leona could facilitate that. But Rakan, Xayah works out beautifully.
Exactly. They were built to be played together, and that's what MDK is going to go for here. Xayah having a lot of potential to get away from the dive that comes in from GAM. Yone's fate sealed. You see the rectangle, you have enough time to respond. Kennenn, he has to get 3 stacks for the stun. You have enough time to respond. Rell falls slower than molasses. You better be able to press R before you get crashed down upon. I feel like Supa should have plenty of outplay potential against this engage from GAM.
I think as well, it's just MDK are all going to be playing at different parts of this fight, right? You've got a Vi and an Ahri that are diving the back line with an equalizer to help facilitate that. Then you've got the peel that can come through from Alvaro, and also Myrwn kind of playing that mid-range in the fight as well. So it feels very difficult to get like a big 5-man wombo for a Kennenn or an MF when it comes to this fight.
I'd also say, I think this is going to be a game where the person who actually starts the fight is going to be pretty heavily advantaged, right?
Yeah,
because if
time.
MF gets jumped on first, MF is never going to get a full bullet time off, never going to be able to actually have a lot of value in the fights. But if you're the ones hard engaging, it's Q flash from Rell, it's, you know, WR going into the backline, creating that chaos, you're buying space, you're buying time for them to be able to get it off. And Alvaro, with about 2 seconds left before the game launch, swapped to exhaust. I was actually getting very nervous that they were going to have no exhaust. So I don't know if he was thinking about it and just chatting, or just forgot and then last second remembered. But yeah, he had literally 1 to 2 seconds and barely got the exhaust swapped over in time.
Very, very important to have that summoner spell against the Kennenn man. All right, let's get into it. Game number 2 in this elimination best of 3. MDK made that first one look easy, and GAM has got to find an answer here in game number 2. Otherwise, man, they're going home. Their world's run is over.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you definitely want to at least be able to get 1 win in the Swiss stage here. You know, you really want to be able to show up, show what you've got. I do think their comp is more cohesive this time than it was last time around. And we're going to have to see if they're going to be able to execute, because MDK just looked like they were on a different level in game number 1.
And that's for GAM as well. I think you want to show up, because GAM in the last couple of years has always been a team that has suddenly found these big upset wins. Like you think of Top Esports 2022, you know, Fnatic last year, that really threw a wrench into the works for so many of these big teams from major regions. But after looking at that last game, as you say, it feels tough for GAM to kind of wipe that slate clean and now come back out onto the Rift once more.
We are in a pause. I'm sorry, everybody. We will let you know as soon as we have more information, currently figuring out exactly what has gone wrong, why we are paused. Hopefully, we will be able to jump into the game here very, very soon, because I want to see really how GAM is going to adapt to this. The previous game, I think that every LEC fan that I talked to before this series today was definitely nervous for MDK, right? MDK has not been a team, has not been an organization that in the past has been one that fans have a ton of confidence in at Worlds, but that last game was clean. It was effective. It was methodical.
Absolutely. So what is happening is we have a delay because one of the players is saying that their rune did not change. So now what has to be investigated is, was it actually, you know, a bug with the game, which is then prompting a restart, or is it a player issue where they didn't actually swap it over, or, you know, did it too late and that kind of thing. So they have, you know, basically recording shadow play where they can watch back and see exactly what happened, what the clicks were, everything like that, and we will give you the updates as soon as we do have them. Kind of curious what rune it actually is.
That's what I was going to ask. Is do we? Well, hold on.
I wonder if it's like,
because everything kind of seems.
Everything
so
seems
we
pretty
have
normal. Like maybe comment
the game on a screen here for everyone.
On Kiaya.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's possible Emo wanted to swap over to Grasp as well. We're seeing that some, but who knows, right? Either way, we will give you that info when we do get it. But for now, it is just a waiting game until we get this figured out. But MDK obviously going to be coming in, I think, with a lot of confidence here at this point in the game.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think for MDK, I kind of want to see them go back to, well, what just worked for them, right? Playing through strong fundamentals on side lanes, making sure that they're all fine. And I think they can try and leverage something similar, but I'm also wondering if it is going to be a potential lane swap. Not so much because I think it's good for a particular, you know, 2v2 or the top lane matchup. It just seems to me like GAM aren't as practiced in those, and I think maybe you just want to say, hey, we can come off with these early leads thanks to that.
It's interesting because I definitely agree that, you know, GAM in some of the previous games looked pretty out of sorts, but in the last game, did you think that MDK got much of an advantage? Because I felt like GAM actually kind of came out ahead.
Yeah, I think the the Ziggs getting that early lead was the big one for me, because even though we saw the top lane matchup get that early, like 300 gold, it was answered on the bottom side with the Ziggs being able to pick up all that early CS and with the TP as well. So I am curious if it is going to make a difference, but to me, it felt like the Ziggs having that early lead just set up MDK so well to play through Supa, play through Alvaro as well, because Supa's doing well.
Lead for sure.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's where, for me, I'd start to look and say, hey, if we can just go back towards that, we can play through this strong bot lane, play through jungle support, and look to take over the game once more.
And it's also kind of reminiscent to how I feel like MDK were playing in play-ins, where, to be honest, it was all about Supa, right? They were doing these lane swaps, they were playing things like Jinx, and they were just trying to funnel as much gold as possible. Anytime there's a stacked wave, Supa, here you go. Anytime there's a plate to get, all right, everyone back off, give him solo gold. They were really funneling a lot of gold into him, and they clearly had a ton of faith that he could get them across the finish line. And in the play-ins, he absolutely was able to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's when MDK have looked their best, is when they're able to funnel resources to the bot lane, not only because Supa can do a lot of work with those resources, it is really, for me, about unlocking Elyoya and Alvaro to move around the map better together, because these two, as a unit, are the most devastating part, when especially Elyoya is on something that can be a bit more of a playmaker, or even a bit of a carry like Elyoya, or sorry, the Vi. You're just in such a good spot then to aggressively invade, look for picks, look for plays, but the side lane control for MDK was very surprising me, just because it's not a style we've seen them go for.
And if MDK are winning games through playing through their bottom lane, right, having Supa be the carry, I think when you look over a game, it's a very different story. Xayah, you already touched on it a little bit back before game number 1. Kiaya has been kind of a standout performer here for GAM. He's been a very effective, very powerful top laner. However, in the previous game, I think the draft did him no favors, being the one who wasn't diving with the rest of the dive comp. He got completely shut down. The lane swap also did him no favors, and it just felt like the most effective piece on the board for GAM was removed right out the gate.
So there was no bug, in fact, and I did get confirmation. This is kind of what I thought it was, is that Kiaya's comment was not the intended rune, so he probably wanted to go Ahri. Obviously, you know, generally you play comment if you have some sort of slow on your ability attached with it to be able to hit confirm that. So, you know, not sure how valuable it's going to be. So he is down that Ahri, excuse me. Might be a little bit frustrating for him going into game number 2.
They're down the Ahri as well, because
they are down in the Ahri and in the Ahri.
All right, wise guy. All right.
Okay. You win one game and you think you get tough over here.
This is all I'm here for. I'm back, I'm chilling, I've already got a pina colada in hand, I'm ready to go.
All right. Confident, I respect it.
Look, I'm going to let my nerves kind of settle now, and then I'll let you guys kick it up for the next series, all right?
Yeah.
All right, players are typing their R's in the chat, so we are about to jump back in. Reminder for those of y'all who might just now be joining us, it does mean that Kiaya has to play with a rune because it was player error, not a mechanical error on the client. So GAM are going to have to run it with Comet Kennenn. If Kennenn manages to kill somebody with a Comet this game, we're going to make note of it. All right?
I mean, it's probably going to hit when you ult, right? So
it better hit when you
assume
ult.
something's going to hit.
It better hit when you ult. If it can't hit when you ult, it can't hit. All right, let's do it. GAM fighting for their tournament lives. If MDK win this, they will get to stay in Berlin at Worlds 2024. GAM will be going home. If GAM win it, hey, we're going to game 3. The battle will get bloodier. This time, Emo on the Yone. This champion now at, what, 14-3 throughout Worlds, including play-ins, I believe?
Not bad.
It is very, very powerful. I believe the crowd has a favorite here in the studio.
No surprises.
You can see Fresskowy going very laning focused runes here. Not only is it the Grasp, he's also going Scorch. So, you know, really trying to play for that 1v1. We've been seeing a lot of this. People pretty much picking up Grasp on everything, it feels like, these days. Very strong rune as far as the laning. And I do think it can be underrated how much extra HP you can stack. Obviously, it's not a massive amount, but throughout the course of the game, especially when you're playing against burst-heavy comps, sometimes that little bit of extra HP that you've stacked over the course of 20 minutes can be the difference between, you know, Ahri ulting out to safety or getting burst down before you can react.
Especially with the nerfs to fleet footwork, it just works out nicely to have that extra little bit of sustaining the lane as well. But we'll have to see exactly what the game plan is going to be here for MDK, as at the moment, it's just standard lanes.
Yeah, it's a much calmer level 1 than what we saw in the previous game, right? Last time around, we're seeing MDK grouping up, looking to invade enemy jungle, getting ready for a lane swap. This time around, everything is stock standard, exactly what you would expect. Both junglers beginning on the top half of the map, Vi at her red, Wukong at his blue. So we'll see where they want to get involved first.
Yeah, Yeah, so far pretty calm stuff. I don't think that there's going to be any like massive advantages created in the early laning phases. And I think both junglers are pretty happy to be farming pretty heavily. You know, if there's one to make a move, it's likely to be Elyoya pre-6. Or Levi, you know, he's almost always one of these guys who really does prioritize farm, looks to get a farm advantage, show up towards those team fights, and try to create his edges there rather than in the early game.
Yeah, I'm curious how much approach we have down on towards this bottom side for him, because the wave is the wave for MDK. I think you can try and put pressure through Alvaro to burn some early summoner spells from EasyLove and then just make things a bit easier for Supa and Alvaro on that bottom side of the map. And it's something we've seen a lot for MDK, of just these early ganks to try and alleviate some of that pressure. But you've also got an incredibly strong late jungle that you can look to play through in these early stages as well.
That was something kind of cute there from Kiaya. He just walked into River basically to do a fake ward to just try to say, hey, I just dropped the ward. So you can sometimes do that at a little bit of a different timing. As a result, I was kind of checking into that River, and Myrwn then may have an idea that could be one there, as Elyoya potentially going to sneak around here on mid lane.
All right, let's see if he can find a whole lot of success with it. Emo flashing now, ball breaker collides, there's your charm. There's your Orb of Deception. There's your first blood for MDK.
A nice job from Elyoya and Fresskowy. They just wait for so long in all that CC, so they force out that early flash from Emo. And when you're on this Vi, you can just basically sucker punch with that quick Q, so you kind of have to burn it early, but EasyLove.
Meanwhile, the 2v2 in the bottom lane. EasyLove having to pop the barrier down to 150 HP. Wants to get back away, trying to bait him in a little bit further because Levi is also down here. Levi going to encounter Elyoya in the jungle now. It is a level 4 Wukong, +1 level advantage against Elyoya, trying to force him all the way back. Gets the flash out of the Vi. So GAM gonna come out on top for now, but Supa's ready to keep the chase going. EasyLove down to just a sliver of HP. Supa continuing to try to chase him around, find that last hit. There it is, nice kill coming out for Supa. He no longer has his flash, but he still has a barrier. Elio chasing after him. Levi is here, surely Supa dies on this one. I don't really know why you would use the barrier there. Feels like just a waste of a summoner spell when you're guaranteed to die. Ends up being a 1-for-1.
But still, at the end of the day, good things here for MDK. Especially where the kills are going. Again, they have a kill on the Ahri, a kill on the Xayah from this spot. Gonna be feeling really happy about that. And that early gank in mid lane was just so well played by Elyoya. Walks in, applies the red buff slow, forces out the flash, then has the Q there. And then you are a slow Yone trying to dodge this Q charge from pretty close. So good stuff from Elyoya early. He was definitely the one that could make an early play. Levi, though, I think had a good response as well, pushing him out of the jungle. He's created a farm advantage. He picked up a kill. So you can see the gold edge is there for Levi, and it's going to put more pressure on him to make sure that he is showing up big time in these 5v5s and getting things done. Whereas Elyoya, you can kind of sit back a little bit more and hopefully depend upon those carries who you've set up for success.
I mean, when we think about Levi as a player historically, when we think about GAM as an org historically, I feel like the greatest moment for this team, if you remember back to like the 2017 era, the power farm Nocturne level 6 ganking the level 3 bottom lane. This guy has been a carry jungler, feels like forever, and that's what you want to see him on if you want to see GAM be able to take this to a game 3 here. Off to a start with a nearly 400 gold lead, getting that first kill for his team. I feel like that's a great spot for GAM to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the gold overall is slightly favored here towards MDK, but more of these minions obviously here to collect for the GAM bottom lane, so they're going to be collecting that wave. There's a wave pushing in as well in mid lane for Emo, so all things considered, we are very, very close here. And MDK not running away with it in the same way that they seem to very quickly kind of in that last one.
Yeah, I think the main focus we're going to see now is as solo laners take over to level 6, things like the Void Grubs. Elyoya is down on this bottom side, and at least in LEC we did see a shift from Voids to Dragons, but play boss.
Levi.
Yeah, Levi's ready to join this 2v2, make it an unfair fight. Supa trying to get back away. Nice use of the feathers there for the root. Now Elyoya ready for the counter punch. MDK got to be careful about this one. Alvaro jumping right back in, but a nice couple of punches nearly takes out EasyLove.
Another root.
Elyoya grabbing the kill on that one, but Supa also drops. 80 carry for 80 carry so far. Elyoya continuing the scrap with Levi. Nice vault breaker as Levi's got to try to stay alive. He hits level 6. He goes back in for the Cyclone. You got to be kidding me! Levi makes it a jungler for jungler trade as well. Now both supports the only 2 left standing here in the bottom lane 3v3.
Man, I think that could have been so much worse for MDK, but Supa had 2 brilliant blade callers. He rooted Levi twice in that series of play, slowing him down from getting the initial kill, buying a lot of time for Elyoya to arrive, and then again on the chase down finds him once more with that root, which bought a lot of time for them on the other side. So very scrappy stuff on that bot lane. Levi hitting 6 helps it from being, an unmitigated disaster down there, but still pretty even trade overall.
7 kills in 7 minutes. I feel like this is a lot more of what people were expecting coming into the series.
That real League of Legends.
Yeah, that real bloody
League of Legends.
Scrappy bar fight League of Legends was what a lot of fans were expecting coming into this one. And it feels like Game 2 is delivering. Alvaro still at only 200 HP down here, is recalling, but he's on top of a ward. Meanwhile, Elyoya clearing out the Scuttle Crab on the top side. River, the Grubs are live.
Yeah, they're trying to see if they can go over towards them, but Levi now trying to move in. He doesn't have that ultimate available. Elyoya only just hit 6. Might need to get out, though.
Yeah, Elyoya was sitting on top of a ward and didn't know it. Elio messing up the crash down there, so not going to find any sort of engage onto the MDK jungle.
And this is a great read from GAM. Because Alvaro's stuck on that ward, they're just like, hey, look, we have a numbers advantage. Elio's able to get out onto the map first, and we can make the play. Now covering mid once more.
Emo has to snap on back. Lost half HP there, going in after Fresskowy with the Soul Unbound.
Yeah, it was really nice charm bear from Fresskowy, and now that loss in mid lane, plus Alvaro arriving, plus Myrwn TPing back, means it's going to be MDK grabbing the rest of the grubs here. There was one at least snuck away there by Levi, so he'll get that gold, he'll get that bonus XP, and continue on farming here, trying to maintain that advantage, trying to get to a really fast one-item spike here, where Wukong can really run these 5v5s. I do think that is really the strongest point in the game, I feel like, for Wukong jungle. When you get that really fast one item, you can be such a difference maker in these 5v5s.
EasyLove using the ulti there to clear out some of the wave, but not all of it. Not entirely sure if that
I think he was hoping to clean it out, so then there wasn't any pressure of maybe Alvaro going underneath the tower with exhaust and charm, and then Supa even being able to reset tower aggro with his own ultimate, but just with the pressure coming through from Supa meant he couldn't fully clear it out. But yeah, Elio's joining him in the bottom side. He needs to be careful of Elyoya on this top end.
Both junglers are here. They engage first on Myrwn, who flashes away from the first cast of the Cyclone. Kiaya having already used the Slicing Maelstrom. Myrwn's going to survive. It costs his flash, and you can see on the summoner spell cooldowns on the right side of the screen, he has just teleported back into the lane, so he's not in a great spot.
Exactly. He TP'd it back up there for the grubs, but the other side of it is it's both ultimates used from GAM. So Elyoya can go right now and look for a fight. He still has his ultimate, whereas Cyclone was used by Levi. So if there is a 2v2 elsewhere, in the short term, it really does favor MDK.
Especially something like a Dragon. As you get this push down to the bottom side, Fresskowy goes back mid, he should have pushed there. And I think you can see Elyoya may stop off his blue buff, but I imagine it's going to be Dragon that they're really going to focus down over the next couple of seconds.
And it's actually so big, right? Because, Emo looking for a fight here. Should disengage, but I talked about that one item spike. Sundered Sky now done for Levi. He is really strong right now, but without Cyclone, you aren't really going to want to try to take that fight over by the Dragon, and the cooldown on this rank 1 ultimate is quite long, so still has about a minute or so left on it.
And you've already talked about how this is the big power spike. This is one of the strongest spots, if not the strongest spot in the game for Wukong. But the thing is, I think it's even more important in this game because he's all 3 of the kills. All of the extra money earned for GAM is on this jungler. At that point, you don't have an opportunity to make a play. You have a responsibility to make a play and put that money to good use. His free boots have also kicked in because of the kills knocking the timer down. He is at a great spot, and GAM needs him to get something done.
It's just so hard as actually Myrwn getting some good damage here. Kiaya going to be forced right the way back. Ultimates weren't quite available, but at least giving a few warning shots. Should be able to get back up. Will lose it on a couple of CS, but I'm still keeping my eyes on this Dragon because MDK don't look like they feel very confident to go for any sort of play, and Levi, 8 seconds left on that ultimate. This could be a game changer.
Oh, a TP's also going to come in from MDK. Immediately the engage, but the counterattack coming in from Elio with a Magnet Storm into the crash down. The clone takes most of the damage as Levi tries to get himself back away over the wall here with the Blast Cone. Keep your eyes on EasyLove. Bullet time flies out, but it doesn't find a whole lot for Fresskowy getting the kill on Elio. But now Elyoya's down to 200 HP. Levi grabbing the kill on Elyoya. EasyLove's going to drop next. A double kill back to Fresskowy. MDK getting themselves a 2-for-1 deal.
It was scrappy, but MDK are able to play it out. Good uses of the ultimates coming through from Supa, being able to dodge away from a lot of EasyLove's damage, and also then the coordination coming over the wall, because this is where Levi's just barely waiting for his ultimate to come up, but they're trying to escape away from this, seeing that Fresskowy is now TP'd in towards the side as well. there's a good knock-up, but EasyLove doesn't really have any access here, and as they start to move forward, it's this hop over the wall that really spells disaster for GAM.
Exactly, and it's kind of what we were talking about earlier. The team that actually starts the fight gets such an advantage because EasyLove never really finds that proper setup. He doesn't have a good angle to get an effective ultimate. I mean, he got a couple ticks on Alvaro, and then you force out the ultimate from Supa, but it's not really that much, and ends up going down without using his flash there, which gives that extra kill over to MDK. And even more kills going the way of Fresskowy. Was in a great spot last game on the Yone, and now has 3 early kills here on the Ahri. Sure, it's good that Wukong is strong, but Wukong isn't going to carry you through the late game.
And these timings aren't working out for Levi either. Like, you're just looking at 8 seconds now until Void Grubs are up, and that long timer on the ultimate isn't back available, whereas Elyoya is just a couple seconds away. So I think this is where, again, with MDK having that push in top, it's so difficult for a GAM to really contest this Void.
Just look at all the ultimates, right? You're missing Bullet Time, you're missing Fate is Sealed, you're missing a lot of these key ultis here over on the GAM side, so they would like to try to delay MDK, but I don't think that the Lions are going to give them the time. They're just going to start this up right now.
Easily done for them. Remember, they only need to get 2 of these, and they will have Void Might spawns. First one already secured. Smite still available for Elyoya. Levi and the rest of GAM now stepping up. Levi wants to try to steal one of them away, but you already got 4 grubs now for MDK. Alvaro finding the knock-up, immediately followed by the charm. A lot of damage for MDK onto the support, but a beautiful bullet time. Emo grabbing the kill on Supa. That's another one traded back, though, onto Elio. Slicing Maelstrom in the middle of everybody. Elyoya about to die. Will not get enough damage back onto the Kennenn as Fresskowy has to get away towards the tier 1 turret. MDK lose 2. GAM comes out on top in the fight.
Yeah, nicely done there by GAM, actually focusing down Supa, who did not have his ultimate during the fight. That was the one key ultimate that was still missing from that bot lane fight. So we talked a lot about the missing ones there on the GAM side, but they delayed enough time for Cyclone to come back up, for Bullet Time to come back up, and then they burst down Supa before he can get out, and that really was the difference maker here.
Yeah, they turn on towards the Rell, think they have a chance, but the knock-up, and then Supa not flashing from this follow-up as well from Emo means that he ends up falling. The bullet time buying a ton of space, and Kiaya coming in on the side just managed to CC enough of the MDK players that they can turn on towards Elyoya as well.
Plus, no exhaust was actually available there. They used the exhaust earlier on, so didn't have it for that Kennenn. And it's a big fight there for GAM. It does a lot to boost their hopes, to boost their chances here, as Herald is up, and it looks like it will be going the way of GAM. So it is the 4 grubs obviously on the side of MDK, but you got 2 grubs over for them, and they should be able to grab the Herald.
Yeah, MDK a little bit late to this, but you can see on the face of the GAM coaching staff how stressful it is. This game could be their last one at the world stage, but yeah, at least you're denying it though in the grand scheme of things, because the push is not there in the lane. So honestly, a bit of a win for GAM.
Emo getting away from another attempt of the Vi Ahri combo. One thing that I do want to point out here, unless this turns into a fight, we saw the total turret plates taken up in the top. It was 1 and 3 this time around. Last game, it was 5 and 8. This game has been so much PvP. There hasn't been time for objectives. There hasn't been time for lanes and plates. It's just champs, champs, champs.
Yep. And we saw the Eye of the Herald there did expire, so no one from GAM was able to actually sneak over and pick it up, unfortunately for them. And you can see in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot that it's kind of Levi versus the world. Everyone else on the other side does have that slight gold advantage. So very close game overall. We're almost dead even as far as the total team gold goes, but Levi is such a core component to this fight. He's got to have great ultimates. He's got to reach backline and key targets, or their gold advantage is nothing.
Good awareness, good instinct there from EasyLove, ulting that wave, getting rid of it, because you could see how many MDK players were looking for a dive if that wave would have stayed.
Don't have another ulti, though, and Elyoya is behind him.
Still, though, when you look at the Wukong, Levi down, taking the first Dragon of the game at 50 minutes, and now that's EasyLove gone.
Yeah, there, EasyLove tried to flash away from it, but he's already dead before the TP can arrive and try to save him. Elyoya wants to vault break back up the wall, I would think. Jumps back into the tri-brush where Alvaro is waiting to protect him. Meanwhile, Supa just given free firing time onto the turret. They'll take this tier 1 while Levi secures the Drake.
I mean, credit to EasyLove for realizing that they were there the first time and ulting, but then he shouldn't be standing there the second time. It cost his team the TP. Levi looking for the 1v1 against Myrwn, won't be able to kill him, so it means that even more gold is actually going to go to Levi, because Kiaya gave up the wave to TP top and cover. You lose the tower anyway, you lose barrier flash on MF and die. So made a good play, but followed it up with a much worse one that MDK were able to punish and create a pretty significant advantage.
And again, it's kind of coming back to the same thing we saw in game 1, which is MDK just playing the map out better. GAM have had moments where they've caught them out, but in the grand scheme of things, if you can continue to take down these towers, you're just going to open up such a massive gold lead for yourself. And the fact Fresskowy is very close to that Leandri's as well. He's going to be such a threat when you look for these pick plays with Elyoya and with Alvaro.
And when you're trading those tier 1 turrets away for a Drake, it feels way worse when it's first Drake at 16 minutes into the game. That stack is not going to pay off for a long time. Last game we mentioned down payments, we mentioned investments. You're not cashing in on this thing until you're a senior citizen, boys. This is going to be a long way off.
Well, in League of Legends years, we're all getting there anyways.
Oh, come on. We don't need the harsh bite of reality here today, Tactic. Come on. We're just trying to enjoy some video games.
Yeah.
All right. So we got our next Drake spawning in 3.5 minutes. MDK have a 1-0 turret lead. That means there's still a ton of standing gold on the map for both teams. If you're GAM, what's the play?
I mean, the play is just continue to try to enable Emo, try to get him farm, look for these 5v5s, and just try to get that proper setup. I think it's all about getting the jump in these fights, have Elio creating that chaos with Levi and Kiaya, building space for EasyLove to get a good follow-up ultimate. It's really all about the engages. Their comp is built to 5v5.
And I'd love to see them trying to get some sort of vision on towards the enemy side of the map as well, because Emo on like a flank TP or even Kiaya in that position as well could be so crucial. But a lot of the times what we're seeing is that they're so focused on trying to get the lane in order as MDK go for counterplay that they're not getting that vision on a cross map or something set up there. So I think there's a little bit of worry for GAM as Kiaya once more the focus on this top side, but at least there's members of GAM coming to support.
DK wanting to steal away this blue buff. Elyoya's got the smite in time before Levi can arrive. He'll show up and bonk him on the head just one time. And there's not a whole lot left for GAM to do in response. Supa's just going to walk back into the mid lane, continue farming up the wave.
And you can see Elio is trying to anticipate where MDK would look to attack next. He's thinking, okay, you probably play around the Ahri, so he's been shadowing this Yone for quite some time, and Fresskowy is going to have to respect this, but Alvaro has read the play. He's down there in time to protect any sort of threat and dive.
Emo and Elio just going to continue pushing up there as Kiaya goes in for the slicing maelstrom, immediately bursting through about 75% of Myrwn's HP. And you know that Levi has the damage to get rid of that last little bit. There's your stun. And again, it's now 6 kills for Levi out of the 7 total on GAM. The Wukong continues to pile up the money.
And this ultimate from the MF being used in the wave every time is kind of denying MDK their answer on the map. You can see Elyoya was trying to move into position to look for a potential dive, but now the wave is gone. They'd already shoved in that bot side, so there's nothing they can do. So GAM, they get the kill and they get a tower. So you wanted an answer as to what they could do. You just got to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of interesting the way that they are using the MF, right? Because, a lot of times when you talk about playing through side lanes, how champions like Ziggs can really enable that with great wave clear, or champions like Anivia in the old days could really enable that with great wave clear. MF is kind of doing the same thing with her ultimate, denying the counterplay. Obviously, Rumble can do similar things as well. So, good run of play there for GAM. They're able to pull right back to even taking a slight gold lead, just under 100 gold there at this point. But this is such a close game here, and with no team anywhere close to Seoul, there's no sort of like big threat on the horizon. So I think both teams can really think through what fights they want to take.
And I think it's for a team like GAM, when your entire tournament lives could be on this game, having that little second or two to think or get a bit of breathing room is so important. Getting that little bit of extra gold, and you can see the win probability powered by AWS, how close this game is right now. And I do think Levi just having one ultimate could be the difference maker to take down MDK, but a good fight where you're able to set up for Supa, where Fresskowy can get access to EasyLove, I think that could be disaster for GAM.
Oh. Hold on now, Alvaro might be in a little bit of danger here. There's your Magnet Storm with Levi following up with the Cyclone, but he's already been exhausted, so we won't find a ton of damage here at the very start. Alvaro barely staying alive. The exhaust kept him breathing, but now Myrwn's got to try to get away. Fate sealed right through the uprights. Not going to find anything with that one. Kiaya misses everything as well. GAM threw it all down the sink, and now MDK might have a chance to hit back. Fresskowy throws out the charm, but Elio sidesteps it. MDK, get away.
Yeah, nicely done by MDK on the disengage. GAM just kind of threw everything out there. And with Levi forcing out the exhaust early, Supa could be in some trouble, but...
Oh, he's feeling good. Levi, remember, has no Cyclone. MDK knows that GAM spent most of their resources trying to make that collapse.
Yeah, but I mean, with the exhaust being forced out by Levi, you would think, hey, you're setting up for a really good fight for Kiaya and Emo, but they completely whiff with all of their ultis there. Yeah. And it's right before a dragon. You didn't even really need to try to force the play. When there's no exhaust on Alvaro, just try to look for a proper setup, maybe wrap around the bot side, play through mid, and look for that kind of pincer play on MDK as they go for the dragon. And you could have really set yourselves up for success here, but just getting a little bit over-eager, saying, hey, maybe we can find a play right now. You throw everything out, nothing hits, it means another objective here for MDK.
And you can see the stress that they're under as they just try desperately to get anything, even that engage, the flash from Elio, and then the follow-up from Levi. So much used to try and set things up, but MDK are just calmer in it. There's no... Well, they are getting caught out on some overextensions, but when it happens, they look way more calm on the execution, and it's playing out well for them here.
I mean, it's a good point. You just compare the summoner spells, right? There's multiple additional flashes here still available for MDK. Obviously, Elyoya, Alvaro still have their flashes available here. And Supa just hit the IE. He's had kind of a more quiet game on the Xayah, but you're now on Essence Reaver IE. You're on a really strong 2 items at this point. Obviously, a while ago, Fresskowy completed his second item, and he's working towards that Void Staff now. So MDK have their carries in a fantastic spot.
I do think, though, the fact that GAM have been so clean in dealing with all these pressure points from MDK, though, at least, you know, last play taken out of it, means that they're actually in an okay spot. Like, the towers aren't crumbling all around them. In fact, GAM are actually going to go up in towers off this play. They've been able to hold on to mid, and the pick plays playing off of this Ahri haven't really worked out. So, at the moment, like, you look at the goal to the top of your screen, it is dead even and playing mid.
Well, it might not be dead even after this. Supa pops the ulti, tries to get away, but EasyLove has his number. Elyoya, now the target. GAM picking up a nice kill there. This game is less than 500 gold apart, tied 8-8 in kills. Game 1 was over at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it is dead, but it's not even for Supa. So he's going to go down there. They do find the pick. And again, that's both summoners down. You know, sometimes you just have to kind of take the loss when you realize you get caught out there, because that is so punishing. It's all about the next play now, as equalizer are going to be dropped to just try to clear this one out.
Oh, but the dive is coming in from GAM. The bullet time over the top of the slicing Maelstrom. They're going to find 2 more kills on Alvaro and Elyoya. Fresskowy and Myrwn trying to get something back, and that something will be Elio. So they at least get a little bit of a trade in return, but GAM are bloodthirsty.
Fresskowy was trying to make his way up from bot side, but GAM ended up getting that dive off immediately before he gets there, and it is a great execution. Elio hanging over the wall, Alvaro just getting caught underneath this with a great knockup from Emo as well. The follow-up was perfect from Levi. The only downside is they didn't get that tower, but GAM definitely still fighting in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, Alvaro didn't even get to move. It was great CC, really perfectly timed and layered. You know, not a lot of overlap. They're able to get everything down there. Again, I still do have concerns for GAM just because of where the gold is. You know, junglers generally can't carry those later stages fights. You know, this point in the game, when the carries are getting towards 3 items, junglers generally start to fall off. You become more about the utility, the initial engage, but then the follow-up has to be there from your team. So we need to be able to see EasyLove, Emo, showing up in these fights, being able to get something done here. There is a pretty big farm advantage for Emo, though, so despite all the kills on Ahri, the gold is very close, and it'll come down to execution.
All right, our next Drake is 2 minutes away. We'll see if we have another fight randomly before it instead of at it. I'm not quite sure. These teams just really just want to go out there and hit each other.
But that's the thing, compare this game to the last one, right? Where we're praising MDK for how well they played at the map, but MDK this game just haven't really quite been able to find that same success, and it hasn't been like Alvaro and Elyoya being able to move off to a side, try and play around Fresskowy, who's really strong at the moment. Instead, they're just butting heads continuously and not really getting anywhere.
Well, I think one of the things that MDK played so well with last game was the Ziggs, which was banned out this game, right? You know, it really enabled them to get out towards the side lane. Supa controlled mid, was able to make these half rotations out, and then assist his team in getting picks in the sides. And I think that's really how MDK kind of choked GAM out of this game, through that side lane domination, really utilizing the Ziggs beautifully. And this time, it is a little bit harder because you're more built just purely for the 5v5. You're not going to win a game through sides, you know, with Ahri Rumble, and we'll see if they can find a pick here.
Oh, Emo wants to get all the way away with a fate sealed, but immediately the Vi jumps in. Meanwhile, down to the bottom lane, Myrwn's about to be taken out by Kiaya as the Yone is shut down back in top. It's a 1-for-1 on opposite sides of the map.
This is kind of what I wanted to see from MDK, though, which was, hey, you may not like win out through just sideline pressure, but you can definitely find picks and open up opportunities to just go for an objective, try and take a tower. But the fact that Myrwn went down on the opposite side, that's really where the problem is, because now GAM still gets to play on the map. Levi gets to force Supa off of mid-wave, and suddenly that pick, that kill that could have opened something up is just completely gone.
And especially because MDK committed 3 members to kill off the Yone, where it's just a straight solo kill in the bot lane. So you have the additional men on the map for GAM that are moving around, that are controlling that vision. You can see some wards down in that barren area. They're dropping some pinks on that side of the map. But it is looking like another potential fight here around the dragon, so we have to take note of the ultimates of the summoners available. And it's looking like, for the most part, almost everything is up, but Kiaya doesn't have ult, there's no Rumble Equalizer, and there's no Vi ult still.
I am curious, though, how MDK decided to play this, because the mid lane turret being up has given them so much struggle this game, where if you ever relieve yourself of mid lane for GAM, I think MDK just pile onto that mid lane turret and try and look for it, just to try and open up the map, even if it does cost them a second Cloud Drake. I think it's worth for MDK, whereas for GAM, I think this is nice, threatening Baron, so it makes it very difficult for MDK to set up everything that they want on this play.
I mean, talking about turrets, it's not just mid lane. MDK have only claimed a single turret so far this game. Makes it very difficult to play the map when there's still all of these obnoxious checkpoints for your opponents to play around and retreat back towards, as GAM not being too eager to make anything crazy happen just yet. The 1v1 in the bottom lane continues between Kiaya and Fresskowy, both of which have their unleashed teleports ready to go, and both of which are level 16 with flashes also available. Immediately, Alvaro getting jumped on, but he tries to turn it back around. A nice engage here with a quickness, and Levi's the first to die. GAM's in a bad spot as Fresskowy makes his entry into the fight, and now they're going in, trying to find the last little bit of damage onto EasyLove, but it ain't gonna work. Elyoya's already dead, and Elio's grabbing the kill. GAM doing a good job fighting back after losing their jungler. They actually come out on top, and MDK loses 2. Elio down to 200 HP, but he continues his retreat.
Nice fight, though, from Fresskowy. He saved that fight, getting in the backline, landing the charm on EasyLove, pushing him out, and Emo even turned around, tried to land the Fated Seal. That was a whiff. So MDK, yes, they do lose the extra man on the fight, but they win out in the HP. They push back GAM. They take the mid tier 1. So things still continue. We are 28 minutes in. It is basically dead even. It's 100 gold, 200 gold between the two teams.
Yeah, it's been neck and neck this whole time, and the fact that Levi ends up falling down at the start of this fight is crucial. But there you go. Yeah, Fresskowy interrupting the bullet time that was doing so much work. Emo trying to go back to peel off of Fresskowy, but they're still getting good damage done. But as you said, Xayah, it's the health bar advantage on the back of this with Supa pushing people away that sets up for the mid lane tower take.
And it feels like we're just seeing so many missed ults from Emo. I feel like, you know, if you're having trouble hitting them, you need to play off CC from your team. The Kennenn ult is going to set up CC. You have Rell to set up CC. You have the Cyclone to set up CC. Like, you can use it as a follow-up. It doesn't have to be that primary engage. And often you'll even see people just use the self-setup with the Q3.
The numbers just popped up in that small little update above the champion portraits on either side. The average level for both teams is 14.0. So down to the decimal spot, they are in EXP. The gold was within a single percentage point, 49.5 to 40 to 50.5 or something like that. Absolutely crazy how close this game is, as MDK is looking for a potential pick. They interrupt Elio as he goes for the crash down to try to get away, but they don't want to commit any more onto the Rell.
Yeah, you can see how much control was just set up on this top side for MDK. Ward here, they placed a ward just at the back here alongside the pink, and all they were trying to do was draw GAM into this Baron area, so they already had Fresskowy in position, a TP ward available for Myrwn wherever the fight went to take it, but it's only Elio's flash that's burned in the end. GAM kind of getting out of that.
Still pretty critical 1-2 burn. You know, Rell obviously a lot less effective. So easy to react to without the flash, but when you do have that flash for a Q flash to actually set up that crash down, can be very, very difficult. Elio playing with fire a little bit. MDK clearly trying to control vision in this area. Here we have a 1v1.
Yeah, Emo wants Fresskowy here. He hit that Fate Sealed, but not enough damage to finish the kill. Fresskowy gets away. Yes, he's going to lose his ultimate, but it's an ulti for ulti trade.
It is ulti for ulti trade, and I think if you can keep Fresskowy out of the fight, that's the 6-kill member here over on MDK. He has been making so much happen for them in the 5v5, so in this case, you know, maybe Emo is happy with that trade.
Doesn't look like we're going to get any more of a fight with the time that he bought from Fresskowy having to recall, though. You're going to see Myrwn push up the wave here in the bottom lane. He has his teleport ready to use. Still no dragon left to take for another 3.5 minutes. Still everybody playing around this top side of the river. Still everyone with eyes on Baron.
I've also got to say, Cloud is really strong for a lot of champions this game. If you get Cloud Soul, you're looking at champions like Alvaro on the Rakan, you're looking at the Kiaya on the Kennenn, you're looking at champions like that, and even the Wukong is so ridiculously strong with it. So I do think it's a pretty powerful soul.
Also, I just want to point out a really interesting build from Myrwn going towards the Abyssal Mask here, but might have to hold on to the point as Elio has no flash. MDK want him, but they basically saying, hey, look, GAM are all going to jump in on top of us, and my ultimate's probably going to be melee ultimate anyway, so getting value for that and setting up for Fresskowy, I think it's a good adaptation.
Alvaro popping the quickness. They put a little bit of damage into Elio, but they don't want to overcommit immediately, though. GAM jumps in with a Fade Seal. That one's going to do the trick. Myrwn will be the second to die right after Alvaro. GAM's already grabbed 2. Make it 3 as Supa is caught out, beat down. Fresskowy and Elyoya trying to get themselves away. GAM just got 3 for free. Levi leads the charge. Fresskowy's got to try to use the Spirit Rush to get away. They'll keep on chasing him. All they got to do is keep him out. As soon as that ulti expires, it is far too dangerous for the Ahri to go anywhere near the Baron pit.
And they had Ward on Elyoya walking towards the bottom side, so they know there is no contest whatsoever here. GAM gonna grab the Baron. And I love the confidence from Elio there, not just using the crash down to retreat in a situation like that, realizing his team is in a spot to reinforce. He just turns what looked like an MDK pick into one for himself, starts the team fight out. Emo is there, nails the ultimate this time around. They crush the fight, they take the Baron, and gain what feels like the first major advantage in the game.
Yeah, big time. The fact that you managed to get so many of the kills and then the burn off the back, but this is MDK just having no vision of what was happening in the area. Elio goes over. MDK are like, hang on, can we look for this? But they don't realize how many members of GAM are in the area. And the second they get locked down by Elio here, this is essentially 3v4. The follow-up is there. The ults are perfect. The front line is completely deleted. And you can look, Fresskowy, no access to the fight. Elyoya, no access to the fight. And GAM steamroll MDK.
Love the look into the coach's room. All right, guys, calm down. Calm down.
You can see excitement, but he's like, okay, we gotta win, we gotta win.
It ain't over until the Nexus explodes, boys.
Yeah.
GAM pushing forward towards that objective right now. Bullet time. Just getting rid of 75% of Supa's HP just like that. Tier 2 turret falls. GAM up 4,000 gold.
And you can see they're going to try to play through 2 lanes. You can see the Yone try to push up through bot, and they're kind of just moving back and forth in this bot side area, controlling vision, trying to wipe out these wards, and make sure that they can bounce between these 2 lanes to try to play for the tier 2s before they look to threaten for these other towers.
Elio with the Hex Flash over the wall, ready to pounce on anybody from MDK who might be disrespectful enough to try to defend these tier 2 turrets. It is now 5 turrets for GAM compared to the 3 of MDK. Only the tier 2 turret in top lane is left standing outside of the MDK base. Still 90 seconds of Baron gameplay left for GAM.
And 30 seconds until the 3rd dragon, so just controlling this bot side jungle is all you really need as GAM, because you can fall back towards that at any point in time. So many of their items starting to come to fruition as well. Like Kiaya having that Sonya's Hourglass makes him such a big threat. He's going to be finishing off his Crypt Bloom very soon as well. So these resets now kind of ticking over to that 4th item for a lot of GAM members makes them so threatening against MDK.
And Sterix on the Wukong too. You jump in, you have that massive shield to be able to survive any counter burst that they might try to do. Guarantees almost that you're going to get the 2nd cast of the Cyclone for the extra team fight power.
And it's amazing to see Levi again showing up on this Wukong. An 85% win rate nearly for him on this pick. It's been such a name state for him, and the fact again he controlled the early game, brought it into these team fights, setting up for so much of his team. He's kind of been the X factor the GAM have rallied around this game, and now they're really putting the hurt onto MDK.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and I mean, they created a pretty significant advantage at this point. They're a good 4,000 gold ahead, but that being said, they didn't crack the base, so we're really just kind of back to the same situation where it's going to be about playing for these objectives, playing for these team fight setups, and it is GAM now on Soul Point, so a lot more pressure on MDK to be able to get a proper setup at this next dragon. But that being said, if they do, the game is definitely not out of reach whatsoever.
5 seconds left on the Baron buff. Elio with a quick Shattering Strike there onto Alvaro as MDK push into enemy territory. They want to full send it here maybe. Fresskowy making a TP deep behind. A beautiful trauma to EasyLove. He pops both summoner spells trying to get away and immediately fires back with a bullet time. EasyLove on a rampage. Alvaro is down. Elyoya trying to get away, but it ain't going to work. Levi goes back over the wall to escape the equalizer, and Supa tries to stay alive. Myrwn and Fresskowy can't get anything done here. Supa's still trying to get the kill on Elio. He knows there's no way out, and Elio just lets the turret shoot him to pieces.
Levi was a hero in that play. The dive had come through to try and pick off EasyLove, but the Cyclone interrupts the dive from Alvaro, denies the CC chain, and GAM rally back and beat off MDK.
Fresskowy tries to get away now. Wants to escape with a Q3 from the Yone is way too much. Levi's got the extra damage. 4 kills in total for GAM. Nothing going back for MDK. They thought they saw their moment, but GAM caught him.
Yeah, they caught him there. Able to punish them big time as GAM is going to be able to push up mid lane, take the inhibitor tower as well. They finally cracked the base. It's not with the Baron. It's off of the counter engage there on this fight. We can watch it one more time. It's the early TP here coming in on the bottom side of your screen, but the summoners are available. The QSS is available. It's a full BT shield as well on EasyLove, plus a locket. There's so much shielding. The barrier, the BT shield, the locket, everything comes through. He gets a good positioning here to really chunk down Elyoya, and then on the other side of the fight, Supa is trying to make some magic happen, kiting out well, surviving through the Fate is Sealed until that Soul Unbound does expire, but realizes there's no real way out. They've lost on the other side. Myrwn and Fresskowy have been pushed out, so there's nowhere for Supa to go except donating a kill into that tower.
And he even used the barrier to try to get the extra little bit of time for the last attack on Elio, but he could not do it. So that is both summoner spells there for the AD carry of MDK, as now they're down a lot of resources. 2 minutes to go until the soul for GAM spawns.
Exactly, and you track the flashes, so many were spent in that, but both Kiaya and Levi have their flashes available, really critical on that side. Whereas over for MDK, it's only Alvaro, so yes, he could try to make something happen with an engage, but the threat from this Kennenn, from this Wukong, is absolutely enormous at this point in the game.
And the big thing too, desynced spawn timers on our 2 neutral objectives. Baron spawning in 30. The Dragon going to be spawning in about 1:40. So if GAM want to go straight for the Baron, if GAM want to just try to rush this, maintain control over that, MDK will not be able to take the Dragon away as an opportunity for trade.
I think it's also the fact that Levi's now completed the Guardian's Angel makes him so much more threatening in these fights, because he can just full send it and then, yeah, get on towards Fresskowy or Supa, just completely change the entire aspect of a fight and still have that second life. So I think for MDK, they need some sort of miracle. And at this stage, we are hoping Fresskowy would be able to get a pick, get something, but the fact that MDK haven't been able to play through that big strength in the mid lane has only just leveraged GAM being able to play through their own.
I mean, EasyLove is still sitting on brown bags, but he's got everything else fully kitted out. He is on 6 items here now, ridiculously strong. Over on the other side, though, I mean, Fresskowy and Supa are no joke. Again, if you execute well in these fights, they have the 4 fully completed items. They are very, very strong. They just have to be able to perfectly execute.
But Fresskowy and Elyoya are coming around for a pincer attack. MDK looking for their chance to maybe punish GAM here.
Oh,
GAM trying to back up as a group. Alvaro jumps in, but Elyoya's got to be careful about this. He's trying to scrap with Yone. They chunk him down by about half, but a Magnet Storm onto Elyoya. GAM sees the opportunity, kill the enemy jungler. Levi's going to keep everybody else busy. Bullet time comes through over the top. Fresskowy into the back line, look for Emo, but he ain't going to be able to find it. The Fate seals his fate indeed. Kiaya keeps going forward. A nice stasis to make sure that he doesn't die. Alvaro at about 50 HP. Kiaya is down. MDK at least get that one. Supa and Alvaro both barely clinging to life, but them surviving might be the difference between the game ending and not.
Exactly, it's massive. Supa barely survives their kiting out, is able to stay alive, and that's the only thing that actually stops this game from ending. Myrwn's TPing to bot side. They want to try to contest this because they know that Levi is still low in health, wouldn't be able to actually recall. You can see that Emo is in the enemy jungle here, and we'll see if Myrwn can find some sort of a miracle play, but no equalizer.
No equalizer for Myrwn, no smite for MDK. That Drake goes the way of GAM, and MDK can't say a thing about it.
I think MDK were hoping, hey, look, if we get 1 or 2 picks, maybe we can turn this over towards a Baron, especially as the reset starts to come through, because Elyoya back on the map, Fresskowy has TP, and maybe they even still consider going for it, or at least look for a pick in the jungle, because it's very dark on this top side for GAM.
I feel like there's nothing wrong with just flipping at this point. It does get very difficult. You can see Fresskowy TPing out towards top side, so they're going to get the push. They need to clear out this pink ward that is in the pit, because obviously there's no threat if that remains alive. MDK have done that now. They've gotten the waves moving, and we'll see if they want to try to move for something more.
Levi still has his flash. Elyoya moving around the backside, but GAM knows that he's there because he's clearing out the control ward. Elio's still here on the front, threatening MDK as he pushes forward. Emo's just going to use the Soul Unbound to clear out some of the vision. Levi stepping forward with a control ward of his own to clear that out. GAM with that Cloud Soul that you already touched on earlier, Xayah, for Wukong, for Kennenn.
Alone.
For the Rell, it's so powerful. Fresskowy now going to be caught out. Kiaya stunning him up. Fate sealed, ain't going to find the extra little bit of damage, the extra little bit of range, but it does not matter. The monkey's got a stick, and he's jumping over the wall to beat you to death with it. Fresskowy dead for 50 seconds. That's barren for GAM.
MDK needs some sort of miracle, but GAM, they're turning immediately over towards the objective.
Oh, Emo immediately jumping in. The Rumble is already down. GAM has found their angle. Supa with a Feather Storm finds a nice opportunity. If only they weren't so far behind. Emo getting the kill on Alvaro. Elyoya just going to be annoyed to death by Elio, and GAM should be able to win the game right here.
You can never discount the VCS. They always come in punching well above their weight class, and now as they start to look at that base, Emo wants to tear it all down.
Emo's just standing here waiting for the minions. He went to the base first, he'll clear out the wave. Everybody else will take their victory march down mid lane. This game was dead even for 30 minutes. These teams traded blow for blow, but we are not gonna see the VCS go quietly into the night. We are not gonna see a 2-0 series. We're going to game number 3.
It's all going to come down to that final game here between GAM and MDK. The pressure really on for both teams. And the best players in the world step up in those moments. And how about this game from Levi? 9-2-13. He was smurfing. We're going to a break, and we'll be right back with game number 3.
If you're wondering why I move the way I do, I just feel so good, good.